Hello. Again, here I am with another Music Monday. It felt good to get such a positive reception on the first one that I did. The only problem is there wasn't really enough people that put in suggestions. So I got two suggestions, one from Shelly Trenner, she's in my family, and then my friend Dakota Phillips. Not to disregard those, but I have a different choice. I have this song that I really want to talk about that I just recently discovered, this artist that I just recently discovered. So we're going to go over this song. I'm going to give you guys another week to see if you like what I'm doing, if you like this Music Monday, and to send in suggestions. And then we need people to vote, so then we can be like, all right, well, hey, everybody wants to hear this song, or people want to hear this song, or I don't know. Maybe I'll just start going through each suggestion that I have, but then I might be a little bit backlogged. Like if I get 5 suggestions one week, that would set me up for the next 5 weeks. So again, we're kind of testing it out, that's why this week I'm going to do my own choice. I'm going to do a song that I want to talk about, one that kind of inspires me or makes me feel a certain way. I think it's healthy. I think it's a healthy way to start the channel. So without further ado, as I take a sip of my coffee, we have A Girl in Red. That's the artist. I don't know much about her. I just figured out who she was, or maybe it's not one girl. Maybe it's a collective group. I'm actually going to read the definition for this album because I'm on Apple right now and they have little paragraphs in the beginning that kind of give you a description of the album or the artist. But this project just recently dropped on April 30th. So, only just a few days ago. But there's this song called Serotonin, and I think it was maybe the only single off of the album. And the album is called If I Could Make It Go Quiet, and I really do mess with this song, so that's what I'm going to go over. First off, I'm going to read just the introduction to this album. It says, towards the end of Serotonin, the opening track on Girl in Red's debut album, so it's a debut album, some Norwegian dialogue emerges through the bracing alloy of indie rock and hip-hop. That recording is where I'm talking to the doctor. The singer-songwriter born Marie Olvin tells Apple Music, my friend had to carry me out from the lobby in Bergen while I was making the album because I woke up, thought I had a blood clot in my brain and was like, I'm about to die. I'm like, okay, it felt like my heart stopped beating. It's a moment that exemplifies the album's remarkable openness manifested by Olvin's emotional honesty and her anything-goes approach to making music. Serotonin details the Norwegians' experiences with intrusive thoughts, and across the subsequent 10 tracks, she performs an unflinching internal audit, processing her feelings, anxieties, and behaviors that their effects on herself and her loved ones. It's all cast in a free-spirited brand of alt-pop that dissolves genre boundaries and shreds the bedroom indie tag that accompanied her early DIY EPs. The result is something that she hopes will offer help to anyone who listens. It would be really cool if I was able to say some shit about their lives. Not just mine, she says. The best thing about music is when you hear a song where someone is explaining what you felt but you're not able to say because you haven't dared to try and figure it out or haven't had the time. Let Girl in Red take you through the album track by track. So there it is. I mean, that's a really good description of this artist and what I'm so excited to see in this project based on the first song I heard was Serotonin, because although I may not be able to relate on a deeper level of everything that she says in the song Serotonin, there's a lot of similarities with like some of my mental health issues, my anxiety, my intrusive thoughts, stuff of that nature. And that's what really drove me towards it. But it's also a very complex song. Like it's designed in such a way that it's hard to articulate. So I love music like that kind of is confusing in some sense. Like it's hard to piece it together on your first listen. So I thought it would be a perfect song for this channel. I mean, last week I did ADHD by Slow Tie, and that kind of had similar themes of, mental health issues. Those were some of the things he was talking about in his song. So I just thought it was a good fit, and I'm really excited about this artist because Serotonin's the first track, and if it's any indication of what's going to come later on throughout the project, I'm really hyped to hear this girl and see what all she's capable of. I didn't realize this was her debut album. Sorry, my cat is like tweaking out and I can't pay attention. But without further ado, we're going to get into Serotonin by Girl in Red off of the album If I Could Make It Go Quiet. Go check out this album. Let's see what she has to offer.
I'm running low on serotonin. Chemical imbalance got me twisting things. Stabilized with medicine. There's no depth to these feelings. Dig deep, can't hide from the corners of my mind. I'm terrified of what's inside. I get intrusive thoughts like cutting my hands off, like jumping in front of a bus, like how do I make this stop when it feels like my therapist hates me? Please don't let me go crazy. Put me in a field with daisies, might not work, but I'll take a maybe. I'm breaking daily, but only me can save me. So I'm capitulating, crying like a I don't wanna be Sabala, I don't wanna be Sakala, I don't wanna be
Alright, sorry, hold on. I gotta pause this shit because my cat's a tweaker. He's fucking everything up. Alright, yeah, first thing I have to say is, right off the bat, talking about serotonin. Serotonin is the chemical in your brain that, essentially, maybe I'm going to get this wrong because I'm not a scientist, but I know that serotonin is kind of what helps you be happy and not depressed. So when people are depressed, the reason they get on antidepressants called SSRIs, which are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, is since their brain is so deprived of getting that serotonin, they need some sort of outside force that's going to help them stabilize it internally so they can get going again. And personally, I've been on SSRIs since December of 2019, and I noticed like in the beginning they really did help, and it's kind of fluctuated ever since then. I'm still on them because I know that I'm not really, although I've made a lot of progress, I haven't found a stable pace yet to be like, all right, I can get off of them. Like there's still a lot of internal work that I have to do, but they have helped me. And so, again, right off the bat, she's talking about serotonin and how she takes it to balance herself out, and she's got like all these intrusive thoughts. Now, I haven't had intrusive thoughts like the ones that she's talking about. Like she's like, what if I cut off my hands? Like what if I kill a family member? Stuff like that. But I remember at some of my lowest points, I had some really interesting intrusive thoughts about like harming myself. But it's something that you never act upon, but it terrifies you when you have an intrusive thought like that. And I still do have intrusive thoughts, maybe not to that degree, but like a lot of my intrusive thoughts will be about just, it's usually like social things. It's usually like when I'm around people and I'm afraid that I'm going to have a panic attack, or they're going to tell that I'm anxious, or like even on camera. Like sometimes it's hard to get on camera because I'll focus so much on the pauses in between my sentences or the words that I'm saying. So it's just a really interesting track right away because it's like, I think, not to call older generations dumb, because every generation brings their unique talents to this world. But I think as we've gotten younger and as a society, we've become more open to talking about mental health, even though there's still like many strides that we could take. The younger generation has a way to like finally describe what this anxiety, what this depression, what these intrusive thoughts, what this OCD, ADHD, ADD, we finally have found a way to like really describe what it is or what it feels like and how it's like what the fuck is going on in our head. And I think, and just because I've talked to a lot of older people about like mental health and stuff like that, including my parents or family members, and sure, they've dealt with it, but I think they never really had a description. They didn't have a way to like, they didn't have a vocabulary to describe it, like what was going on to them. So I think music like this can really help a lot of people because it highlights what the hell might be going on. And like she said in her description of this album, if I can make music that allows people that feel the same way to finally identify what that is, it's kind of like a revelation. Like I remember when I was first going through my mental health shit, like at the lowest point, when I would get on YouTube and I would research like, hey, what is this? Like, what does disassociation feel like? Because that's something that I used to experience a lot and still do sometimes. And I found these YouTube videos that were like literally describing step for step what it was, how to get over it, how to deal with it, how to cope, and how to get better. It felt like there was some sense of relief because I was like, wow, dude, like I'm not crazy. I'm not the only person that experiences it. So, yeah, let's play it again. But I need to turn on the light because it's kind of dark in here. All right, here we go.
Running low on serotonin, chemical imbalance got me twisting things. Stabilized with medicine. There's no depth to these feelings. Deep, deep, can't hide from the corners of my mind. I'm terrified of what's inside. I get intrusive thoughts like burning my hair off, like hurting somebody I love, like does it ever really stop? When there's control I lose it, incredibly impulsive, so scared I'm gonna end up doing something stupid, but I try to contain it. Oh, it gets so draining, it's like my heart is failing. Every night I'm contemplating, my inner voice is saying tough, so I try to brush it off. Yeah, I try to brush it off. Running low on serotonin, chemical imbalance got me twisting things. Stabilized with medicine. There's no depth to these feelings. Deep, deep, can't hide from the corners of my mind. I'm terrified of what's inside.
I haven't even really touched on like the instrumental side of this song, but it's kind of interesting because it doesn't really sound like a sad song. I mean, this is kind of a sad context of like all the crazy shit that goes on in her mind, but now that I'm thinking about it, it is kind of frantic. It is kind of like organized in such a way that it's somewhat all over the place, and I think that now that I'm thinking about it out loud, it makes sense. It's almost emulating what anxiety or what intrusive thoughts feel like. She's talking about how deteriorating this is, and you know, sometimes it's just so tough. Like she's like, I'm just trying to brush it off, but you can't brush it off. When you're experiencing it and it's attacking your consciousness, you can't brush it off. You have to deal with it. And that's like one of the biggest things that I've learned this year, still in therapy, still on medication, is if you have like some form of like anxiety or things that make you uncomfortable that keep arising and you're starting to panic, or you know, it's like it's hard to deal with, those are the things that you need to be paying attention to. Like you cannot brush it off any longer, especially if you want to if you want to get better in the long term. So in a longevity sense of things, of like getting better and being stabilized and being able to be fully functional and get off your medication, you have to address those things. And so, you know, for some people it's a whole process of first just admitting that it's happening and then opening up to other people, because then you know you're giving a definition to your struggles. And I've realized that's another thing that really helps, is instead of trying to contain it or like she says, like brush it off, you have to admit it. You have to talk about it to people that you can trust or maybe understand or go through somewhat of the same set of things. And that's the process. But in the long term of things, you have to start relying on yourself and knowing that you can change your mantra. You can change those patterns in your head. The brain is a very malleable organism. We think that we're just anxious people, we're just depressed people, and we can never get over it. That's not the truth. People like to play that victim card because it makes them not at fault. Like, hey, this is just my circumstances and I'm never going to get better. But we all have an obligation to ourselves to get better, to be the best version of ourselves. And so that's, I think, where like true progress is made with mental health. But yeah, going back to like the instrumental things, like it is kind of all over the place. Like it doesn't sound like a sad song. Like it kind of sounds like to me, I thought like this is kind of like a summer bop. Like it kind of makes me like get up and want to move. But when you're looking at like the actual words, lyrics of what she's saying, like there's some real shit going on in there. There's some real shit going on in her head. So yeah, we only got like 30 seconds left, but I just wanted to talk about that.
Känner hjärtat att snart får blodpropp. Men det som gör att hjärtat vill sluta slå. Så det är som att jag blir ett sånt tom rör i kroppen.
So that was the ending part where she was talking about in that paragraph that describes the album. Is she's talking to... Who's she talking to? Oh, talking to the doctor. So that might have been when she was getting prescribed her antidepressants. But yeah, very solid track. A very intriguing artist. And I just wanted to highlight this song. I mean, that's how it started this channel, is like bringing up songs that I feel strongly about and that could maybe help other people. But as we move forward with Music Monday, like I said, I want everybody that watches this to hopefully send in a suggestion. And if I get all the suggestions, then I'm going to have to take my time slowly to pick them apart and analyze them and make them into a video. But yeah, if you guys start typing stuff in the comments, or like maybe, you know, then voting, like liking whatever it is, like the song choice that somebody gives me, well, then I'll have material that I can work on each and every week. So yeah, that's all I have for this video for this week. Again, Girl in Red, check her out. Check out her new album called If I Could Make It Go Quiet. Serotonin, that's the first song that I've listened to. I think it was the only single off of the album. So I'm gonna dig into this project, and there might be another review that I'll have to do by her. But yeah, I think it's a great track, and I think it's a great second choice for Music Monday. So if you like this video, please comment, please share, please subscribe, please tell your friends about Music Monday. I want to get this shit popping, bro. I want this to become like a regular scheduled program where people look forward to seeing this every week, because I love talking about music. Like I have such a deep passion for it. Trying to iron out like what my next direction is. Like I just graduated college, and you know, I got my podcast, got my YouTube channel, and we got to figure out how to do this. So anyways, I love you guys so much, and I will see you on the next video. All right, bye-bye.